She thought crossing an ocean would drown the pain. Alina Ward left Chicago with a suitcase of photos and a promise never to look back until a single text shattered the fragile peace. Marco had moved on. He had drenched the promises he made her in lies. In the sunlit squares of Lisbon, where bougainvillea draped the balconies and fado threaded melancholy through the streets, Alina found the address she swore she didn't need. She told herself she came for closure, for a conversation, for the truth. But betrayal is a solvent. It strips away reason and leaves only what burns. At first, she watched from a distance soft shadows, silent steps, a notebook of times and faces. Marco's new world unfolded in careful routines, late-night meetings. A woman named Isabella, whose smile said warmth and a secret. A courier who never stayed long enough to shake hands. Every clue felt like a match struck in a dark room, revealing not just a man who moved on, but a pattern of debts and favors that smelled like danger. Elena's hurt hardened into a mission. If he had built a life on lies, she would peel it back, layer by layer, until the truth stood naked and the wreckage matched her heart. Obsession. It rewrites the calendar and the compass. Alina learned the alleyways, the cafes where whispers collected, the fairy routes where eyes met and looked away. She traded pleasantries with bartenders, scribbled license plates in margins, and found herself speaking to a woman named Ria, whose laugh was all edge and whose advice was never free. "You want justice," Ria said, "but justice wears masks in cities like this. Be careful you don't wear one you can't take off." Still, Alina pushed forward, convinced that only a reckoning could stop the ache. One night, the thread pulled tight. A meet on the docks. A metal case passed from Marco to a stranger, and Isabella standing too close to be ignorant. Alina stepped out from the shadows, her voice low and steady. Marco's eyes widened, with guilt, but with calculation. "You crossed an ocean for me," he said. "You must still love me." Elena's silence was colder than the river wind. She had rehearsed kindness, mercy, reasonable words, but they had dried up like old ink. Instead, she named the lies one by one until the dock felt crowded with ghosts. Blue lights fractured the night. Detective Adrian Hale had been trailing the same case, a lattice of fraud and intimidation that Marco navigated like a chess player who always thought 5 moves ahead. When Hale moved in, the scene tilted. Isabella wasn't a conspirator. She was a whistleblower, trapped in a net. The courier was bait. The case held nothing but leverage. In that instant, Elena's justice became collateral, her pursuit woven into an operation she didn't understand. She had wanted an ending. What she had was a knot. The confrontation spiraled into choices. Rhea appeared from a shadow, offering Alina an exit that smelled like gasoline and finality. Marco tried charm, then anger, then fear, the entire spectrum of a man who thought he was untouchable until the ocean delivered his consequences. Hale asked Alina to step back, to let the law do what obsession never could. Separate the truth from the story she had told herself. Alina realized she had crossed more than distance. She had crossed into a version of herself, sharpened by hurt, blurred by longing, and defined by pursuit. In the aftermath, the case closed with paperwork instead of blood. Marco's empire cracked where it counted. Isabella testified, and the docks returned to the rhythm of mornings and goals. Alina stood on the waterfront at dawn, damp air clinging to her ribs, and knew that revenge was a mirage. The closer she walked, the further it receded. Love had turned dark, yes, but it also left outlines of who she was and who she refused to become. She deleted the photos, not to forget, but to make space. The ocean didn't drown the pain. It taught her how to breathe around it. And as the first ferry cut a silver line across the water, Alina chose not to chase. Some hunts end when you let the truth stand on its own.